Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you're here to join me as we create some more pieces together. Today, we are going to be doing a variation of the first activity in the 30-day sketchbook project book by Mini Small. This one has so many great ideas in it, so if you're starting out, this is a good one to start with. It really kind of helps you explore different things to do and all different things that you may not consider doing even as a beginner. So the first activity, the first day in this project, we are working on making sure that our page is no longer blank. So it's just about getting things on the page. So it's using shape, it's using squiggly lines, it's doing all those kinds of things. She gives you 3 different things to do that day. We are gonna do one of them. We're gonna start with watercolor, and we're gonna do it in watercolor. And because it is a simpler, shorter type of activity or piece, we're then gonna play around with maybe colored pencil or oil pastel, things like that. We're gonna see how much time we end up having. And we're gonna kind of play and see what it also looks like in different mediums. So if you don't have watercolor or don't want to use watercolor, you can kind of see, oh, well, maybe I do wanna do it in this medium as opposed to this medium. All right, so I'm so glad you're here to create some art with me today. So let's get started. First activity we're going to do is we're going to do this one where we add triangles, colorful triangles, empty triangles, and then squiggles and dots. So we're going to do this activity today. Some of the other ones in here are like this one, which I like. You can use any kind of shape you want or squiggly lines to make a pattern, but I really like this one, so we're going to do that. Like I said, the book is the 30-day sketchbook project. And it's just about getting in your sketchbook and working in your sketchbook. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is grab my sketchbook. I'll be using a Strathmore mixed media book. Let's see. All right, open to a clean page here. So like I said, the first thing we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be doing this in watercolor. So I've got my watercolors up here. All right, I'm using what brand is this? Let's see if we can get it to focus. All right, it won't focus. It's a Transon 5. The book says to use a 4 or a 6, and I've got a 5, so that's what we're gonna be using. All right, so clean water. All right, so wet the brush. I do want okay, so I'm just gonna activate my paints, getting them wet. I'm actually gonna just wet the page a little bit. You do not have to do that if you would rather do it on a dry surface. I like to play around with wet on wet technique with watercolor, which is just wet paint on wet paper. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is grab some paint, put it on my palette here. All right, and then we are going to do triangles. So this one is we're doing triangles first that are just filled in. So they can be anywhere on your page, in any direction, especially if you're doing different kinds. You can do different kinds of triangles. I feel like this would be a fun math thing to do in class if you were doing a triangle unit in math, because you could have the kids do like different triangles. At least that's something I would enjoy doing with them, and they could use colored pencils or something instead. All right, it's not quite as bright as I would like, but that's okay. We have other ways we can brighten them up later. All right, so next we're gonna let that dry for a minute, and then once that's dry, we'll come back for the next step. All right, so the next medium we're gonna do is we're gonna do colored pencils. I've already selected a palette of colors. Oops. All right, so we're gonna be using these to pick from. All right, so we're gonna start with peacock blue, cobalt turquoise. We're gonna do cobalt turquoise, which is this one. All right, so I'm using the Prismacolor cobalt turquoise, which is 105. We're just gonna go in. You could get all fancy with the shading if you wanted and stuff like that, but first we're just gonna go in and try and stay in the line. Circular motions, different directions, and I am gonna just outline this a little bit more. All right, so we're just color. Remember, if you're going to be doing layering or you want it lighter, you just hold the pencil further back to give yourself a little bit more control like that. All right, so that's what we're going to do there. I'm so sorry for the sounds in the background. Now remember, you can do your triangles in any direction that you would like. All right. Any direction works. All right, the next color I was gonna pick is, we're gonna use the Parama Violet, which is 1008. And that's what we're gonna do our empty triangles on. All right, so I like how that's turning out so far. So it doesn't even matter how you go through your other triangles. I'll fix this one up a little bit. One side kind of highlighted so they all look the same. There. And the next thing we're going to do is, let's see, we're going to use the light Cerulean Blue, which is 904, and the Pink Rose, which is 1018. And we're just going to come in here and add some of those dotted triangles. They can be as big as you want them to be, or as small. Doesn't matter. Let's do some wavy lines. This one has definitely that like 90s vibe. Oops. Maybe we'll do some lines in this color too, which means I have to do now at least some of these in the pink. The pink's really pretty. Maybe you want to do them further apart like you see down here, or maybe you want them really close. All right, so that's going to be up to you on how you want to do it, how you want to fill your page. Remember, your goal is to fill your page. It's to not be scared of blank pages. This is a great warm-up. This is a great way to get started with like just getting ideas down on the paper. All right, so let's try one more medium at least. Let's see. let's try the oil pastels. I don't use those as often. So let's see what those look like. The other thing I really recommend for something like this, if you're like, not sure what to use, is acrylic markers are like beautiful. I use Posca markers or the the Posca markers or the Sharpie brand. Sharpie has some really great creative markers. All right, so these are my Faber Castell oil pastels. I don't have a palette pre-selected for this one. So I don't use these ones as often. But I also know, not really. Not really, that's more for the chalk pastels. I don't know what I was thinking. Don't know what I was thinking. I like this blue. Pastel. Oh, 110. The other one I used was 125. $143. This one also has a very strong 90s vibe. And this is why we did a couple different ways, is because these activities are not designed to be like, especially the first couple, not designed to be like super long. So if you have 5 minutes to create something, you have time to put something in your sketchbook. All right, the next thing I want to try is actually something I have a couple of that I really like, is these rainbow pencils. So they're like all different colors in one pencil. All right, so we're gonna see what this looks like doing something like this. I like when you color with them and then they're all the different colors. We're gonna see these one, yeah, it's doing it. Some of these rainbow pencils I have found are a little bit more than others. Like you can definitely see it more than others. And sometimes you need to just see it. All right, so I'll speed this one up and just show you what I do with this one. So let's try this activity now, or this design, with some chalk pastels. I actually really like chalk pastels. All right, so this is what we use. You can use a blending stump, or I like these like dry. We're gonna just kind of you don't have to be exact if that's what I'm going to be doing with this. It's very similar to like a watercolor pencil, where you don't have to fill everything because you're going to be using water to spread the ink around. So if I'm going to be spreading this around, see, it'll fill it in nice. Nice and filled in. Nice and filled in. There. It's easy to kind of fix anything I want to fix. All right, let's see. Now for this, I don't think I'm gonna fuzz out those. I'm gonna put that right back. Let's see. But for some of these, all right, and then let's see. All right, let's see. All right, so you can see which you would prefer. If I leave it like the crisp line, it's like this. If I want to fuzz it, it's like that. Or make it fuzzy, like kind of smooth it out. You can do the same with your lines. So here's some lines that are, and I could have even done that with the triangles. And you could even, if you wanted to, do something like this that's just very, like different. You know what I mean? Like different, some of them are blurred, some of them aren't. Some of them are more crisp than others, all right? So this is gonna come down to your style preference. And the more you blend, the more that'll blend in together. There. So that is the chalk pastel. This is one of my favorites. So let's look back at what we've done so far. So we've tried chalk pastel. We have done the rainbow pencils. We've done oil pastel. We've done colored pencil, and we did watercolor. All right, so this is a really fun one. Now you can take more time with this and make your shapes more exact. Maybe you want to add more details. All right, so this was just an example of an exercise you can do that would help you kind of practice different shapes, composition, things like that. And you could use it to fill your sketchbook up in. All right, we will have another activity or another sketchbook idea coming up in our next video. So I really hope that you'll join me in creating that one, and I hope that you have found some use out of this one. If there's anything you'd like me to show you or any ideas you have, please leave them in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.